the rain is now moving out from Debbie, but we stay soggy because it's summertime and we see those afternoon showers and thunderstorms. And here's the thing with river flooding: even after the last drop of rain falls, you can still have several days where you have the river flooding affecting very large areas because it takes time for the rivers to crest and then those levels to come back down. Many rivers still in major flood stage. You see all of them in purple. The purple triangles really stand out there. It's going to take some time for these levels to come down, not just the fact that we saw so much rain from Debbie, but because we're putting rain on top of this now. So most of those rivers that are in major flood stage, they will stay that way in the foreseeable future. Here's a look at the flash flooding risk for the next couple of days, including through Sunday morning all the way through Monday morning. You'll notice it's the same areas both days because we've got a front that's stalled out across parts of the southeast, and that's going to keep those daily rain chances in play every single day. So we're not going to see many improvements, say, in the Lumber River, which crested just above major flood stage, the current level right at that crested level. So we just crested with the river in Lumberton, and those levels now have to come down, as well as the Little River. This is in Manchester, North Carolina, also crested, but we're still several feet above even moderate flood stage. And then we go down to the PD region, the Little PD River, and we are we were several feet above moderate flood stage. We still have to watch those levels come back down. It's going to be difficult with how much rain we still have in the forecast. So this is something, it's going to be several days, potentially into the upcoming week before we see some relief in this area. But Paul, I think the concern comes because now we're still pretty early on in the season as far as some of the bulk of the activity, the meat and potatoes of hurricane season, as you called it earlier. So what happens if we bring another system into this region? We're super saturated.
Yeah, we kind of worry about what could happen there because you mentioned TikTok. We are heading rapidly into the peak of hurricane season. We're now in August, say mid to late August to early to mid to late September. That's the meat and potatoes. We have 88% of the season to go, and the bulk of it begins right now. Right now, we're seeing something in the East Pacific, but we want to watch one of these waves coming off of Africa, moving across the Atlantic. Invest 98L here. That has an 80% chance of developing as it moves on towards the west-northwest. And the models are picking up. American model, the European model, both picking up on the system. Not a well-defined low right now, but that's expected to change as it moves into a very favorable area, favorable for several reasons. One, it's moving in an area of very, very warm waters, and it should start developing as it approaches the Lesser Antilles. The good news is it brings you rain, which brings drinking water. The bad news is it can be packing some bigger concerns like winds and maybe a storm surge as well. Very warm waters here across the tropical Atlantic into the Caribbean here. We're seeing very little wind shear, which will inhibit development as it moves towards the Lesser Antilles, which means all the models saying, hey, we can have a closed low fairly soon, and then that could start to strengthen as it approaches the Caribbean. Depends on where it's going, on what model in terms of solution. We're days down the line here. In terms of direct impacts to the U.S., at least 8, maybe 10 days away. But the concern is what happens before that. Because, yes, there's a lot of real estate. We're not just concerned about the U.S. We have lots of viewers here across the Caribbean. We have U.S. interest, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico as well. And just humanitarian concerns, especially in Haiti, the west side of the Hispaniola island, in terms of heavy rain coming this way. All right, so the European model has this thing slowly developing and then moving on towards the BVI, USVI, Puerto Rico, and then kind of moving on towards the north as it feels the pull of the high pressure and that clockwise flow on the backside of the high, as well as the trough coming off the lower 48, pushing eastward. So we'll start pushing it away from the U.S. Now, the American model, which was pretty spot on early on with Debbie, keeping it weak and kind of sneaking it farther west, not feeling that tug north. This, too, keeps it a little farther south, but it is developing. That's crucial, though, because even the American is developing it as it moves across the Caribbean, the BVI, USVI, which is kind of taller it is, the more the upper level winds it feels. Perhaps then, as it goes over the DR, it can start feeling that tug to the north, which does bring it closer, maybe right across the DR and Haiti, but also towards the Turks and Caicos, southern Bahamas, central Bahamas. But again, European model pulls it up northward quickly. American model pulls it north late, again, because it's going to strengthen it. But what if it doesn't? What if it gets closer to the Keys, South Florida, maybe in the Gulf of Mexico? So the jury's not out. The good news is both models turn it before Florida, but Lynette, we are way, way